Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Absolutely.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and today I've got a couple of very special guests. We have Roger Christie and Wesley Sudberry. Now, I know many of the listeners don't know about my history as an activist and an advocate and a POW and all of this, but I've been advocating for medical cannabis for over 30 years, and I've been consuming and cultivating it for over 40 years. And as a medicine, as a sacred plant, cannabis is very high up on the list of special plants on this planet. And many of us have sacrificed or been willing to sacrifice our life, liberty, and property as a result of this plant and how important it is. And Roger and Wesley have both served time in federal prison as a result. And I'm going to let them tell their story. But this is a very important episode, and there's an upcoming, usually my topics are kind of evergreen, but this is a very temporal topic, and there's an upcoming date that's real important. So Roger, Wesley, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to be able to share this time with you guys.
Right on. Thank you,
Joe.
Joe. Aloha, Wes. Happy to be in the circle here with you both.
Hey, and Roger, you're looking really young, I want to tell you.
Cool. 76.
I love it.
I'm stoked.
I thought you were like 40. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, a lot of credit to my wife, who's a health practitioner, and she cracks the whip when I reach for the Cheetos. So
I love it.
No cheating, Roger. No cheating.
Got it. Thank you kindly. Well, I can't see you. I can see Joe. And, we're three prayerful people as much as I am aware of each other's personality. Joe, not you as much personally. Feel your spirit and have for decades. Wesley, frontline. Spirit is the foundation of your being. I can easily feel it. And Joe, getting to know you, I feel it as well. So that's what we share. And that precious foundation of our lives, I call it the operating system that runs the rest of it, is the basic in the First Amendment. And we all share that belief in the First Amendment right to raise our consciousness and our awareness with plant medicines, and especially cannabis, what we call the tree of life. So I'm pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here with you, Joe, on the podcast and your audience. Aloha, audience, whoever's listening to this out there. And Wesley, I couldn't be more proud to be in association with you as my friend, a THC ministry member in good standing, and a frontline activist for good things for ourselves and especially for others. I think you both would agree with me that our life path is one. It's more than, we're not selfish. We're the opposite of that. We're doing this life mission to please ourselves, to help other people. That's what pleases us the most, is if we can make other people smile. So that's my opening.
So very, very true. Wes, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, it was amazing to meet Roger back in the day over in Hilo Bay. Right across the street from what was to become the THC ministry at the Moses Building. And it was a great thing because we have so much in common with what we've tried to do through our lives. And there is hardly a person that I would actually say more about than Roger. And Joe, with you, it was very interesting because I met you on the phone from FDC
right
years ago, and now we're coming to this place where we can actually move the envelope forward a little bit with everything that has been going on with this plant. And I feel like I have to leave it there because otherwise there's just so much that we could say about this.
Well, we're running this show in particular for some special reasons, and why don't you, without getting too into it, I know I got really good at telling the story of my case in a nutshell. I got it down to just a few minutes. There's a six year story. I was able to distill down to a few minutes after a while. I'm sure
Right.
you're able to do that for the listeners. Why don't you tell us a little bit about number one, what brought you here, and number two, what we have coming up?
Well, it's really what brought me to all this is it's really the impulse to heal yourself and make yourself feel better in life. And that's what brought me to all this in a nutshell, right there. And there is an important issue that has to do with electronics and surveillance. And so, what's in front of the Supreme Court right now is tempered by the fact that cannabis is involved in Roger Christie and all this. But the base issue, excuse me, is whether or not it's okay for government to surveil us in just like stare at us all the time
Yeah.
and record it all and do all that. And so there's certain rights that were put into place by Congress. And so are those rights going to be something that we continue on or just let disappear? And so I think that's a very interesting thing for our fast food nation to get used to right now, is whether they're going to pay attention to that or just let it go on like a passing feeling.
Yeah, that's huge. I don't think people realize how important that is. You go to other parts of the world and there's cameras every 10 feet, and everything you do is being recorded, and it's assumed you don't have any other rights. It's assumed
Yeah.
that that's how it is, but it's not that way here. But they're sure pushing at it. They're sneaking these cameras in. It starts out as security cameras, and the next thing you know, they're up on street lamps, and the next thing they're doing facial recognition, and the next thing and they just keep sliding the bar forward a little bit. And I think if nobody pushes back, and then in your case, they use this surveillance against you, right?
Well, yeah, that's the genesis. They from what I understand, what seems to be, and that's also in the affidavit, is that they had somebody that they paid to go and infiltrate Roger's home and ministry. And Hawaii is it's Hawaii and Alaska. There's the two states that have made the most stringent laws on privacy because they have it in the Constitution. But despite that, because this is what I believe, is that they wanted to stop Roger from doing what he's doing. I mean, the guy ran for mayor twice. I'm pretty sure it was twice. It might have been 3 times, but I'm pretty sure it was twice.
Twice on the Big Island, once in Denver for mayor when I was 28 years old.
This guy doesn't stop. Let's try to stop Roger. I mean, that's what's really funny about this whole thing is everybody's trying to stop Roger. And I have a sticker right over here. It says Roger would grow. Roger would grow, and that's like, who gave that to me? It's a Hawaiian who was looking out for me while the U.S. government and the Hawaii government were trying to find me. And he took me in to hide me from them.
Wow.
And then he hands me the sticker, Roger would grow.
Good deal. Yeah, we in Hawaii, there's a word called onipa'a, which is steadfast. And I strive to live up to that, to be steadfast in my ethics, my morals, my character, my values, and my spiritual practice. So it's,
It's a powerful word.
Yeah, it's got an attractive nature to it. And Wesley was attracted to what we were doing at the THC ministry because that reflects his personal values. And he has certainly demonstrated that under the toughest of conditions. And yeah, we both have a story to tell. And it brought us to the U.S. Supreme Court on Friday for a conference, which is a pivotal moment in time for especially every single person in the USA. As Edward Snowden revealed a few years ago, our federal government is surveilling us without warrants and unrighteously. And of course, some people define the word smartphone as self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. And my question is, who's it reporting to or what?
Right.
And but anyway, regardless, this particular case applies to every single person in the USA due to local police using, techniques of surveillance without warrants and without our permission. And if I might, I'll just wind this up quickly. I have a proposed bill for the Hawaii legislature that I've already submitted to our representative. It's called the Hawaii Biometric Privacy and Self-Ownership Act.
Wow.
And it's modeled after Denmark. Gentlemen and listeners, please look up what Denmark is doing to copyright the name and the face of each of their citizens, to give the ownership of their biometric data, their image, and their voice to the person. And because it relates to that question, who owns our body? And when we look into that in a deep dive, we find out that the birth certificate possibly gives ownership, literal ownership, physical ownership of our physical body to a third party interest.
Eesh. Wow.
Yeah, that's why we can't use cannabis according to some people.
Well, does Hawaii have a ballot initiative, or is it just you have to submit to the legislature?
Have to submit to the legislature. Whoever set this state up, that was an illegal overthrow in 1893, which is acknowledged by the U.S. Congress and the president in 1993 with what's called the Apology Bill. And I recommend people look it up. It's a real thing. The U.S. government officially apologized for their illegal overthrow. But the state of Hawaii, I put that in quotes, it's often called the fake state here. The fake state here has no ballot initiative. They didn't want we the people to have the power to guide, chart our own destiny.
Wow. Sounds like Kansas.
How about that? Kansas too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you need to go on pause. We don't have any electricity. My food's getting hot. I need you at home.
Wow, we got an emergency. Hold on one second here, gentlemen.
All right.
Well, Joe, I'll talk for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So your case went from you were convicted, or you took a plea deal?
No, I didn't plea out. I'm the only one who didn't plea out.
Okay.
Gentlemen, excuse me. I have an emergency. I went home. I'm gonna have to wrap this for the time being. Wesley, you're very capable of carrying on, and I'll listen to it later.
Well, thank you for joining us, Roger, and I'll send you a link to the show as soon as we're done.
Thank you. I say may unexpected blessings and love come to everyone and from everyone right now.
Agreed.
Awesome.
So Wesley, you were convicted, sentenced, and then you filed an appeal. How long did it take before the appellate court heard your case?
It took years.
So
because
you were incarcerated for years, waiting for the appellate court to hear your case.
That's not exactly accurate.
Okay.
But let me clarify. So I sat in FTC waiting for an attorney to present what I was arguing to the court. And eventually that went through the appellate court and then to the Supreme Court. And then they pushed me through trial, and that made it moot. So after that, once I was released, after that, which was just under 7 years of sitting in prison, then it moved forward eventually, but I can't get an attorney to actually, I have not found one attorney that will actually argue my case for me.
Wow. And what's the reasoning?
Their reasoning is it's a mystery. So I
They
could
just don't tell you.
speculate on that.
They just say no.
Well, they have apparent other agendas going on, which stops them from actually arguing on behalf of what I'm asking for, which is that, see, look, there's one of the biggest things to take a look at is that they illegally spied on Roger Christie,
Right.
but they didn't have any authorization to do that through the laws. And why are they spying on Roger Christie? Is like he a bad dude or something?
Right.
I don't know why. Why would they spy on him? I mean, I do know why. And I think we all know why. Is there certain agendas that come through, and so there was a reason to come after him. So, like, you're looking at people that aren't trying to hurt anybody, that are working with plant medicine. And so this whole, like, what is the problem here? Like, why does Roger or me need to be incarcerated?
Right.
I don't get it. I mean, but I do get it. And so does everybody else. You know, everybody gets it. But that's the crux of it. So, like, they used illegal spying to start the whole thing, which was on discrimination and bias towards a certain way of being. And so look around you. You know, you can't talk on your phone without something coming through that says, like, hey, we've listened to you, and we're gonna give you videos and everything. So this is why it's so important right now, because humanity needs to understand this right now. Does that make sense, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. I have often said, you know, when they read you Miranda, that applies in all time. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And if you're in a situation where they can capture it, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're never going to use anything that they take as far as your words or your image or anything like that and help you with it. All they're going to do is use it to cause you harm.
Well, my experience, I will say, is that there's a lot of great humans out there, and some of them are in correctionals and like police departments. So, like, I would say that one of the things that helped me through this is the good-hearted nature of people in law enforcement. So that's
Oh,
one thing I will say.
absolutely. And that is actually a saving grace. If it wasn't for a handful of decent folks that are in the same room as a handful of not so decent folks, we wouldn't have a chance. And there's been plenty of cases where I've supported where whether it was a law enforcement official or a judge or a bailiff or somebody in the system that just looked at it and just like, what are you doing? In my case, it was the judge that overturned my verdict. When she read the transcript, she just was appalled at what happened in my trial. And she did the right thing and overturned it. And a judge of all people, you just, you never know where it's going to come from.
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
That's interesting. I have no idea, Joe. I just know that you're a person concerned that was interested in this, but I have no idea of your personal history. That kind of blows my mind that you went through that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I got a 6-year story, but we're here about you right now, and in
Perfect.
many ways, your case carries a lot more weight. Mine was a state case, and I carved a little precedent for, state law, but very little. You're in a situation where everything that happened to you and your appeal and your ability to possibly get a ruling in your favor could potentially affect everybody in the country.
I think so, and that's the thing. It's basic. It's just all about that. I mean, there's one thing. I mean, we all want dangerous people away from us,
Of course.
but Roger and I aren't dangerous.
Absolutely not. It blows me away. For almost 20 years, I've been supporting cannabis cases and people going through trials and people in prison. And that's one of the key factors in all of this. It's like, what are we thinking? Let's look at the quote crime and how do you get from however many pounds, however many plants, however much, cut it up, however much oil, whatever it is, how do you get from that to somebody loses their freedom? Like the two just don't belong in the same room. And I never could understand it. And I think the ludicrous nature of these crimes are what has driven me this whole time. It's just how can any of this even be? It's like we live in this alternative reality somehow.
It is, and uh, I don't know. Like, I don't think most people, have slept with the cannabis plant and lived with it like I have.
Right.
And like, I mean, I can't understand. It's like this plant has a whole personality. If people don't understand that,
Sure.
like, and then look at your lettuce that you're eating. It has a personality too.
Right.
That's a huge thing. Like this plant doesn't want to do anything bad to anybody,
Oh,
but here we are because we have the gall to grow it. Then all this happens.
right.
So Roger would grow, like I was
Right.
saying. Roger would grow. But Joe, the main thing right now is like in the Supreme Court, that's just a tempering thing. It's all about whether or not it's okay for the government to illegally spy on you and then use that to convict you and throw you in jail.
And so
That's what's at hand right now.
so they've the court has agreed to hear the case.
No,
Oh, they
that's
have
what we're going to find out on Saturday.
Oh, okay. So they're going to be ruling on that. So, what happened in the appellate level? I didn't actually hear um, really what happened there. So, you
Uh,
finally got somebody to argue the case in front of the appellate court?
yeah, it was a rough road to get to there, but let me like just make it short.
Yeah.
In that, they're saying that the government can pay somebody to go into your house and purposely like set up surveillance equipment
Wow.
and record it, and that's okay.
Wow.
That's their whole argument. And they're trying to like make it hard to see. And it's US versus White is the Supreme Court case that they're like referring to do that.
And what's the
So
nature of the case? I don't know that case at all.
it has to do with uh, somebody wanted to buy drugs, and so they come into somebody else's house, and the government has it all set up so they record them while they're there. Well, they go into somebody else's house and get recorded, and the Supreme Court ruled that that was good. So they keep pulling this as their whole justification. That's what the Ninth Circuit ruled, and now we're in the Supreme Court, so we'll see what they do. But
Okay.
yeah, so like, look at the difference. It's like flipping the sides of the coin. So think of, instead of that, you wanted to buy drugs, so you went to somebody's house and they recorded you. And instead of that happening, someone came into your house and recorded you.
Right.
That's the difference. Is that okay that someone comes in and, like, Roger is upfront? He has talked to all law enforcement and made it very aware that he is all for cannabis and helping to other people to have it. But then they send somebody into his house because he won $70,000 in a lawsuit against Hawaii County. And so they used him, another person, for up to 5 to 6 years to infiltrate Roger's house and record things.
Wow.
Without a warrant. Why? To chase down cannabis?
It's all
Like,
without a
or to
warrant.
get
That was my
Roger,
other
or
question. Yeah. So without
yeah,
a warrant, like, you shouldn't be able to do any of that at all.
absolutely not.
I mean,
And
even
you're
with
like,
a warrant, there's limits to what you are able to do with search and seizure and things like that. So that would think that surveillance would fall somewhere into that.
absolutely. And that's the thing, is like, they didn't they knew Roger was doing it because Roger said he was doing it.
Right.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah,
It's like
nobody's
Roger
hiding
wasn't
anything
hiding,
here. Right.
but then they sent somebody in without a warrant to record him and get him for what? Because he advocates that the cannabis plant has healthy benefits to us.
Right.
That's why they did it.
Right.
And so I had to spend all that time in prison over this. You know, it's like, because I'm like, no, I ain't pleading guilty. Guilty to
Right.
what?
No, agreed.
And
Agreed. So what is your thoughts? I mean, we have a unique Supreme Court sitting on right now.
right, we do. It's very fascinating. It is.
And if looking at the conservative side of things, personal
Okay.
liberties are supposed to be part of that agenda, right? We're supposed to have our own, our own free will, and the government's not supposed to get in our way. And if you're looking at that philosophy or that political way of thinking, I don't know, the way that they've ruled on a lot of different occasions, kind of all over the place. So I don't really know what to think. What is your insight, or have you been advised at what kind of things you think they're going to bring up or pay attention to, or the likelihood of them moving forward?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because Congress had an intention, and that was to provide certain statutes that are mandatory, that bind judges to do certain things. And so they have failed to do that in this case. So, and what those statutes are talking about are specifically designated to prevent the United States government from illegally wiretapping us and recording it, and
Right,
then using that against us. That's is simply that, because that's one of the most intrusive things. That's an abomination to the Fourth Amendment, which
right,
is to be protected against unreasonable search and seizure.
right. Absolutely.
Fruit of the poisonous tree is what it's called. And so, yeah, like, I mean, I'm sure everyone's proud that our government busted Roger Christie and me and made us spend years in prison. I'm sure we're all proud of that.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, because like, I mean, geez, like, did they dare to grow the cannabis plant?
I get it. I get it.
So
So
that's
the
the
thing
thing.
that's interesting is this case really isn't about cannabis at all. It's
No, no,
it's
no, no. It's not. It's not.
and maybe that's a good thing in the sense of it's not, you know, the good that is going to come is going to affect everybody, not just people that are vulnerable to this particular law, but everybody. We're all vulnerable to our privacy being infringed upon. We're all vulnerable of potentially being suspected of some kind of ill doing, you know, and it only takes any one person in any element of government, from local to, you know, all the way up, to have some kind of a chip on their shoulder, a beef against you, or a suspicion that can set some of these things into motion. And you know, it
Yeah.
sounds like there's a potential for a big roadblock to get put up if they hear this and end up ultimately ruling in your favor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, is pretty. If they decide to hear it, it'll be most likely in our favor. Like, it's hard to even think of, like, they won't hear it if they're not going to rule in our favor.
It
So
sounds like you're right. I mean, I would think the same. It's like if they're going to give it merit of even considering it, well, then they've already considered the egregious nature of what's in front of them. Now, let's just say, let's take
okay,
this to the best possible place. And,
right.
you know, in a couple of days, they rule that they're going to hear the case. How long is that likely to take? I mean, I know they got a long docket and all of that, but are they going to hear it this year?
I would say maybe 2 years.
2 years? Okay. And
I
so,
mean, that's like, I'm allowing plenty of time, because here's one thing that's going to happen is that if they decide to take it, then they're going to appoint me a SCOTUS, which is Supreme Court of the United States, is SCOTUS, and so they will appoint me an attorney that's
right,
licensed to give pleadings in front of the Supreme Court.
right,
And so this attorney is not going to know what I'm even talking about.
right,
So they're gonna have to study it, and then they're gonna have to present pleadings based off of what they learned. But I'll tell you, like, almost no attorney or judge, and I've tested this in court. I've asked judges, like, do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Do you know 18 USC 3504? And the judge said, no, I don't know what that is. I'm
wow,
like, well, then how are you capable to even judge this?
right,
And that's what I said to a judge in court. I have said that, and they don't know it. So that's the thing, is that the Supreme Court knows it. They've been dealing with it. It's United States versus Gilbert is a Supreme Court case, and it's landmarked. And so, like, that's what we're trying to do right now, is present another landmark case where now the Supreme Court has the option to make sure that we are not illegally spied upon. And that actually goes into now all the new technology and the AI and everything. Like, we're like, I mean, we all know it's like we say one thing, and then all of a sudden there's a video that shows up that based off of what we said.
right,
So we know we're getting surveilled like crazy,
sure.
but what is that? And so that's where we as the people have power through the legislation, the legislators, right? That's the House of Representatives and the senators, because we elect them, and we're saying, hey, do our will. And that's
That's
our
what's supposed
input.
to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where we're sitting here. And so, I mean, who knows right now with
Good
all
news
that?
is if they do agree to hear it, the
Yeah.
2 years, this court will likely not have changed much. Maybe one justice will be different, but probably it'll be pretty similar to what it is. So, for good or
I'm
ill.
saying 2 years, I'm being like I'm giving like the big amount. Like
Sure.
hopefully
Yeah,
it won't take
absolutely.
that 2 years.
Oh yeah, hopefully it's in this year, but I get it. And we got to be reasonable and conservative. Okay, so let's take it to the best place.
Okay.
A year and a half goes by, they hear the case, they rule in your favor. Now what happens?
Well, it changes the way defense attorneys are going to work because it is cementing in a particular way that we have a right to ask. Like, you're accusing me of certain things. Where did you get the evidence? And did you illegally surveil us? I mean, it sounds funny because people want to say that, like, hey, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't worry if
Right.
somebody's watching.
Oh yeah, I know. I trust me. I've caught that. I don't know. If you weren't doing
Uh,
anything wrong, you wouldn't have any problems. It's like, okay, I don't know what world you live in, but it's certainly not the one I'm in.
no, I've had to face up to. They tried to get me all kinds of ways in jail, and I ended up being able to luckily walk through that without having them apply more punishment to me. But they tried to. And that's the thing is like, okay, so that's fine. Like, hey, if you're not doing anything wrong, then don't worry about it. Of course, everybody can watch.
Right. Now, if they were to rule again in your favor, now
Yeah.
if they don't hear the case, which unfortunately is the most likely thing to happen because they hear generally a fraction of the cases that
Less than 1%. Yeah.
right. So, but I mean, I'm all about let's go all the way where it needs to go. And they hear the case, it they rule in your favor. Does that affect your case directly, or is the ruling going to affect future cases only?
No, it affects a lot, because say if they rule in my favor, they would vacate my conviction.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then there's
That
Roger
changes
Christie.
everything.
Yeah, Roger Christie and all the other co-defendants because they would be able to like have their conviction vacated now.
Right. There we
And
go.
then also it creates a problem because it would dishonor the judge,
Oh
which
yeah.
is Leslie Kobayashi, because she would look very bad if that
Right.
was to happen.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, it's huge. She's an Obama appointed judge. And so that would like, I mean, I battled with her in court over and over. So me and her are fairly intimate, you might say.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I she doesn't want to like she does not want me to speak in court. My attorney would like always like try to tap me to speak in court because he didn't want to have to say what was supposed to be said. So he would give it to me to say it.
Wow.
And because like, he's being intimidated because he can be sanctioned. And that's the way defense attorneys work in this country. Is like the defense attorneys, like I hope people hear this part specifically. Is
Sure.
defense attorneys are handicapped to stand
Oh
up for
yeah.
you in a court of law.
Huge.
Yeah, they will be punished if they stand up for you. That's why I can thank my attorney that I finally found. He was like my seventh attorney, 7 years, seven attorneys.
Wow.
Like he would always be like the judge would scare him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm pretty sure Mr. Sudberry wants something to say," and so then I would say it instead of my attorney, and that's how
Wow.
it goes. So that's what is really at hand for everybody. Is like, hey, like I grew a plant that's a good plant that we're still struggling right now to figure out like how good is this plant? Like I don't know how good this plant is.
Right.
And so we're trying to bring it back and that that was what I did wrong. Is like give this plant water and food. That's what I did wrong. I
Well,
probably should never have done that.
I deeply admire your courage and your willingness to do what's right. I was in the same situation. Fortunately, mine was a state case, not a federal case, but it was, similar in a lot of ways. And so few people are willing to stand up without pleading out. And, that's where you can make changes. And so you're in a situation where, because of um, what you were willing to do, what you had to go through, you're in a situation now where you have the ability to move the mark forward and, potentially affect hundreds, maybe thousands of cases, and especially cases in the future. There might be 1,000 cases in process right now, pre-trial or even in trial, where this type of surveillance is the primary, evidence against the defendant. And if this does what it could and should do, all those cases are going to get thrown out. So I am, again, proud of you. I stand in full solidarity, and I'm looking forward to hearing the news about what happens. We're going to publish this right away so more people can become aware.
Mhm.
Why don't you share again the name of the case, so that if somebody wants to look it up, they can at least become more familiar with it.
Is Sudbury versus United States.
Okay. All right. Well,
And go ahead.
no, I just wanted to thank you. Go ahead and finish your thought, though. Absolutely.
Well, just to everyday people out there. I don't know. Is it cool if somebody's watching you in your bathroom? That's what this is about.
Well, I'm going to
And it's
speak
not
for
okay.
everybody
It's
I
not
know.
okay
I'm
for
going
the
to say,
government to do
hell
that.
no.
It's not okay for the government to do that.
No.
And this case is unique because, like, what did we do? I don't know. We put a plant in the ground and grew it.
Right.
So that's what we did. Um, thank God, Big Brother's like spying and like making sure we don't do that.
Right. Yeah, the
They
world's a better place
call it
now.
a serious crime. This is a serious crime we did,
Right.
putting that plant in the ground. What we were telling him, and I went with Roger and met with the local law enforcement and everybody and told them we were doing it. So, like, this is all about that. But then they still illegally spied. So, what are they doing to you? And I'm talking to everyday American out there is like, what are we going to allow our government to do? Because, like, that is an important thing for everybody to realize. That's our duty. Do you think you have, like, what? You're a United States citizen, you have rights and duties. So, our duty is to make sure our government doesn't do this. So, who else is going to do it but us? We have
Agreed.
to hold our government accountable. And I said, like I said, like, go ahead. Like, wait, are you all mad at me? Do I have to do some more years in prison because I grew the cannabis plant?
No.
Is like that's what this is about. So let's stand up and let everybody know that this is just not okay for our government to illegally spy on us.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I definitely would love to have you come back after they've ruled, and hopefully we'll have some good news to talk about. One good thing is when you get into the higher courts and you get an appointed attorney, they tend to be of a much higher caliber. I know in my case, when it went to the appellate court, my appellate attorney was much better than the public defender I ended up with. So I
Mhm.
I know that they tend to have a dog in the fight, in the sense of if they
Yeah.
if they win, they become part of case law, and their name gets, put up for all time eternal until it gets overturned. So they've got a reason to get out there and do a good job for you.
I think so too. And I'm optimistic because there's a reason why the Supreme Court takes cases,
Yep.
and we hit it on every aspect. So, in my opinion, they should take this case. And if they don't, I will actually reapply it to them and keep asking them to hear it.
I love
So,
it.
yeah, so like, yeah, there's good things to happen with this, but you know, the biggest thing now that I want to turn to is just like, yeah, humanity. I just want to smile because it's like, hey, we have some good things to do right now, but we have an interesting time to go through. And so we're like, I give thanks and, appreciation to like all of us out there that are going through our individual journeys. And I hope that what I've done helps you on your journey some way. Except for that, I don't want you to be in court and being pursued by cops. So I'm not
Well,
asking that.
that's the beauty when one person does go through it. You have the ability to keep a whole lot of other people from having to go through it, and maybe as important or more importantly, you're doing something that most people don't have the wherewithal or the strength, the stamina, the courage to do, and yet it will affect all these people, all of us. So I again um, applaud your effort. I support you in all ways, and I'm looking forward to hearing some good news about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is like it will kill your life. I know. That's one thing I have to like do every day is that I could have been something else in a way. But
Absolutely. Now, do you want to give your contact information out to the listeners if somebody wants to get a hold of you? You have that ability if you want to.
well, I would say if they're interested that much, all they have to do is go look at the docket number, and
Okay,
then my contact information is there.
got it.
So if they want to go do that, they can do that.
Perfect.
And yeah, so otherwise, like I wish everybody the best when it comes to all this because heck, it's a heck of a world out there right now we're dealing with. So you know,
I
um,
do. Well, Wes, I
Joe, I
appreciate
like never mind. I can't do this on the podcast, but
you. Well, I appreciate you joining me today, and I welcome you to come back to continue the conversation as time allows. And I applaud your work, and I give you my full support.
thank you, Joe, and I wish you well in the challenges you're going through. And I guess my only regret is that it's taken this much time. But hey, that's what we have is time.
That's
So
it, exactly. All right, well, Wes, this has been a treat, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. And to the listeners, this has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and I want to thank all the listeners that have made this show possible. And we will see you next time.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.